Being Christmas and all, thought I'd share a few tips with you guys. The first one is just simple drawings. So this one's a drawing of a natural riffle. There's lots of natural riffles in the stream beds, but this is one of my favorite ones. It's bedrock riffles. Basically anywhere you have a drop in the bedrock zone and the water flows over is going to create a vortex, and it's a good collection area for golds in the bedrocks. A lot of the times the gravel debris in that on top will hide these little spots, so you just have to look for a slight drop in the gravel layers, and generally underneath there's going to be a little shelf or a little natural riffle. Good places to increase your chances at greater concentrations of gold. This next illustration is actually a really good one. If you're in areas that have low grade gold concentrations, look for places that bottleneck or pinch point. So you'd have the river coming down fairly wide, and then it would decrease in size, usually through a canyon or a hill area. But anywhere it decreases into a pinch, the low grade concentrations will gather up and follow a gold path. The bottom end here and within the pinch point will create a high grade zone, but as it leaves that zone back out into the wider, more natural river, it'll go back to a low grade zone again. But if you're in an area that has low grade, look for a pinch point like this, and it'll then increase your chances of finding some better gold. Okay, in this illustration we'll cover the gold path in today's river channels. Basically, a river channel has 3 stages. You have your low water stage, which is midsummer. You'll have your annual flood stage, which is usually in the spring, and you'll have a major flood event, which is usually, every 100, 500, 1,000 years, but it'll crest the banks of the river and score up the valley, and it'll lay down a gold path. But generally in your low water stage, the channel will be running in its lowest point, and it'll lay gold on your inside corners and your gravel bars. In your flood stage in the spring, which is represented by the dotted lines here, the channel widens and the gold path will also change within that channel. And then if you're lucky enough to have a major flood event, it'll redistribute the gold through this valley and crest this channel, but generally the gold path will be a lot different. Basically the lines will smooth out a lot more for the gold path, but your major flood event will be usually the richest pay streak in a river channel. One of the tricks I like to do to try to find a pay streak like this is to try to find areas where they intersect each other, and then from sampling a guy can determine where them paths are. Okay, in this illustration we have channel movements through a valley. This is a sideways slice of a valley. You have your bedrock zone. On the left we have a lower lying, gently sloped hill. To the right is steeper terrain. And basically what's happening when you're looking at something like this down a valley is your river keeps cutting into this steeper ground. The steeper ground will landslide in here and be washed away, and it'll keep cutting from the left to the right, jigsawing back and forth. But on the left here it'll leave segments of old channels, gravel deposits and gold deposits. the odd time on steep ground you may find old channels oddly placed compared to everything else that you're finding, but a lot of times what's happened is the glacier deposits and valleys and that were a lot higher at elevation. The river's braided back and forth and slowly chewed out the valley you see today, so you will find oddly placed channels. And in this scenario, I threw in an ancient channel laying on bedrock just to show you, as you're working your way upriver, to look for things like this of interest, because a lot of times the ancient channels will be running in a totally different direction of today's modern channels or pre-glacier channels. But yeah, lots of little things to look out for. Okay, in this illustration I'll demonstrate channel directions. Channels are almost like they're alive. They migrate. But one of the tricks to finding the old channels is you go in today's channel and figure out which direction the channel is moving in, and then you just backtrack to find the older channels. Generally on the outside corner is where you'll have most of your force, and it'll keep scoring the bank and the hillside away, and it's going to push this channel in this direction. So obviously if you want to find the old gravels or the old channels, you just got to look in the opposite. In this scenario you'd have the channels twisting this way, and this way. The old channels lay on this side. As this keeps scoring in this way, it's going to keep laying debris over here and covering it over, and the forest is eventually going to come over here with grasses, shrubs, and eventually grow trees and such. Yeah, that's the basic channel directions. Well, I hope you enjoyed your gift, but we're not done here yet. I think my son Cariboo Jr left you something in your stocking. So let's take a look.
Oh my god, we're gonna be rich.